Martial arts, karate, I bust you down like Itachi. Cause you just jitting me hachi. Straight kamikaze, I'm talking dead bodies as I go straight brawling. Y'all niggas could hardly be me, I'm not part of the sea. I'm part of the sea like Moses. No psychosis, the hocus pocus. I put importance to stay focused. Ignore all the BS on my timeline. I throw a lifeline for those thinking I ain't about mine. Hit you upside your head with a tie iron. Can't be your time if it's my time. The set to be patient, I'm patiently waiting. It's driving me crazy, cause lately the odds that I'm facing is basic and basically tragically hating. Anticipating my fall, they want it all. They want it all for themselves, so I make the call. No need to stall, I go and get them all off of the shelf. I take affirmative action, I'm blasting and laughing of how you reacting to my satisfaction of cashing injections and Benjis and Wilsons. The life that you always imagined. From the goal, yeah. If you ever see him go, it's Holocaust or Holy Ghost. Overcome or overflow. Either way it's overdose. Watch you walk or comatose, penetrating to your soul. Tit for tat and toe for toe, pound for pound and blow for blow. You would never see me fold. Claiming that what you don't know, that is how you get exposed. Left it there with bullet holes.
Leave it alone, promises all day. Pensando cómo lo puedo lograr, en cómo lo puedo hacer, cómo cuido a mi mamá y también a mi bebé. Solo tengo que josear y eso ya me lo sé. Hay días que despierto sin ánimo, pero me tengo que motivar, que nadie te va a ayudar, que no lo voy a lograr. Eso dicen los demás, pa'l carajo los demás, que aquí pues se les va a enseñar. Aquí les caigo y les traigo un talento que lo dejan bien pálido. Se sorprendieron, algunos dijeron que estos son pa' los que sí tienen talento. De verdad, se jodió todo porque yo nunca voy a parar de josear. Pero un día, ojalá yo con ganar doble A. Dile a Mike Cabe que me tire para hacer un collab. Sin pijama, Nati, que me invite a la casa. Ojalá, ojalá. Ha.
Yo, what's your boy, El Divino Vega, here in the Chop Shop once again. And if you saw the title, maybe, you know what's funny? I come up with titles that aren't necessarily like the exact, like it doesn't probably show exactly what I'm gonna be talking about. But if you like follow what I'm doing, you should probably get what I'm going to talk about. Maybe like 2 days late now that I'm hopping on this discussion, but nonetheless, I felt it warranted my reaction or response to it, seeing that I did talk about it the other day when it freshly came out there in the zeitgeist of the internet and music and rap beef and all this crap, right? So if you saw the title, I was obviously being tongue in cheek with it, right? Calling it no beef, just chicken, you know, because people obviously have their take on what they feel about J. Cole's apology. They feel like it's, you know, scary about it. He's backing down. So again, no beef, just chicken. But is the chicken probably the better route to go anyways, right? I know probably a lot of people wanted the beef, but, you know, is the chicken what we actually, I guess, deserve? Or maybe is it what we really need compared to what we wanted? But nonetheless, for those who didn't see it, I got a slight little video I'm going to share about it, about J. Cole's, his own thoughts about the matter of what happened and what took place. And then we'll dive into my thoughts on it and compared to what I've been seeing out there. So let's go ahead and pop that up.
At the end of the day, when I listen to it and when it comes out and I see the talk, that don't sit right in my spirit. Trying to find a little angle and downplay his greatness. I want to say right now tonight, how many people think Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest to ever touch microphone? Dreamville, y'all love Kendrick Lamar, correct? As do I. So I just want to come up here and be like, that was the lamest, goofiest shit. And it made me feel like 10 years ago when I was moving incorrectly. And I pray that God aligned me back up on my purpose and on my path. You know what I mean? I pray that Kendrick really didn't feel no way. And if he did, my chin out. Take your best shot and take that chin, boy. Do what you do. There's love. You know, I pray that y'all are like, forgive the misstep and then I can get back to my true path. Because I ain't gonna lie to y'all. The past 2 days felt terrible. It let me know how good I've been sleeping for the past 10 years. So all of that to say, man, that's a reminder to me of getting back on the right path and getting in tune with God. Because I want to do that for y'all right now.
So, you know, interesting course of action for sure, right? Like, I don't think anybody thought this was going to happen, but I feel like if you didn't see that coming, or if you didn't think that was a possibility, maybe you're just not paying attention, and maybe your own selfish desires got the best of you. But let's just so J. Cole apologized. That's what we're talking about right now. And obviously, there's a lot more to what he said, and clearly, we now know too that he might take back that track. So if you're trying to like keep that in the reservoir, you might want to find a way to download that song before it gets removed. Oh, hold on, wait, we got people in the comment section. Let's see what's going on. Oh, it's the homie. Okay. Yo, you go live when I'm at work. My bad, brother. I'm just a busy man, so I try and get it in where I can fit it in, to be honest. Let's see. Swinging by to drop love, man. Much love, bro. Thank you. Appreciate that as always, man. Fire intro for a fire journey. Appreciate you, my brother. I do my best. That intro was all me. I intend to actually eventually pay for somebody to do that so it can be a lot more professional for sure. But for now, that's what's holding me down. I like the title. I'll be just checking. It's right. So, I just thought it was funny because obviously we all wanted beef, and now we got chicken. But I just feel the chicken might be good. I feel like it might be good. Oh, you know what, Rob? My my bad, bro. Man, I'm so busy. So many things going on. I forgot to let you know. Yeah, the Q postponed it for tomorrow. I think he had something come up today, so he postponed it for tomorrow, same time. So hopefully you're available for that because we definitely need to knock out your intro for your channel. Oh, cause I can. Bro, I got a story there, low key. I was actually playing Civilization the other day, and look, I had the most weirdest response or thing that happened with a Gilgamesh, but we'll get to that at some other time. But to stay on point, J. Cole apologized, as you saw in the clip that I just shared, and a lot of people probably weren't expecting that. But again, if that's the case, I just feel then maybe you just didn't pay attention to his title, which was might delete later, right? And I feel like that definitely was him letting us know like he's not, let's just call it as it is. Whenever somebody put the post out there and hashtag might delete later, that means that they're very much aware of whatever that they're putting out there is either something that's just a moment in time of how they're feeling, a moment in time of how they want to express themselves, but that they know they might, come to regret it or might come to the realization that they need to take it down. And so they let you know ahead of time, like, hey, you want to enjoy whatever I'm putting out there, whether it's a post sharing a thought, whether it's some female sharing some sort of photo, something of that nature, whatever it may be. And you see the hashtag might delete later. It's for you to know, the viewer, the consumer, that whatever it is you're indulging in, that you've been blessed with, it might get taken down. So it should be to no surprise that obviously, this course of action may have been, well, obviously it came, but before it came, it should have been a thought of like, hey, this might be what happens. So it shouldn't really surprise you. But overall, I'm seeing these like weird, I guess, reactions to it, and weird in the sense like I just feel like we're so either programmed or we stay stuck to the traditional thing sometimes, that we can't see that sometimes when something becomes too I don't know, and maybe not a knock on tradition, but let's just say religious, so to speak, and we feel it's like somewhat like gospel, so to speak, especially in the hip hop industry or culture in general, that and maybe just in anything that's like that it's kind of inserted itself as a way of life, or a way of how things work, and we can't seem to think outside of the box sometimes when it comes to these things, right? Hold on, we got another comment. Uh, Jeez. How's everything your way? Everything's solid, brother. Everything's good. Again, just figured I'd go live right quick to share my thoughts on this thing. Um, and probably go a little further into deeper thoughts of how I feel we are naturally too uh, normal, or there's something about conflict that feeds us. Maybe that's where I'm going to go with this eventually. But for now, and I say that because, again, to go back to the topic at hand, I feel like there's just this weird narrative right now by some people, or just, feeling that they feel that they've been cheated out from what they were probably expecting, whatever they thought the beef was going to be. They probably wanted, some people thinking that this is J. Cole chickening out. Um, some people, like I said, on some like weird, selfish part that like they wanted Cole to keep dropping stuff because it'll allow them to like just be able to finally let people know, like, Cole means business, and whatever, this is what it is, but blasey blasey, like, like, don't mess with him, whatever. It allows them to feel more proud of being fans of Cole, and now they feel that they're robbed of that because the haters of Cole now will look back on this and use this as something in the arsenal to throw back against him, like, oh, he's not real, he ain't a real rapper because he bowed out, he bowed out, or uh, this guy's so I don't know, so scary that before it even escalated any further, he got out, whatever. All these, like, again, just takes that I'm like, I'm not sure I agree with it, and obviously, don't get me wrong. You look at my previous video, I was here for it for sure. I was here for it because this is a natural part of, again, hip hop. But then I asked myself, does that necessarily mean it's a good part of hip hop, right? Or is it always good? Let's just say that. Or is it always a good part of hip hop? And these are the questions I feel we have to ask ourselves as hip hop fans. Is everything about the hip hop culture really good? Or are there some things that we can truly bring to question and allow space to be had where one can move different? And it won't be the first time that this happened in hip hop. I mean, I was having a discussion with one of my boys the other day, and we were talking. We were literally, this is what we were talking about, the beef, and where it's at right now, and how we feel like where is it going, and blasey blasey, and is Drake gonna respond or not? And he kind of, I had my my 2 cents about Drake, kind of the same way that I shared earlier, the last video, where I'm like, I'm not sure he's gonna get into it, whatever, da da da. And it pretty much mentioned how I see Drake more as an artist who can rap rather than a rapper who's an artist. And I don't say that as a diss. I say that as just acknowledgement of how I see him. And it's a compliment in its own way. And that's and then I went even to say that that's why I also view Kanye, right? I feel Kanye is an artist who can just rap. And again, I say maybe that's who can rap, not just who can just. He's an artist who can rap. Same thing with Drake. He's an artist who can rap and rap great at that. But to me, that doesn't make him a rapper. But all that to say that Kanye was what I feel was the inception. He was he was the pivoting point of allowing rap and rappers to be different, right? Because before Kanye, you know, you had to be gangster, you had to be hood, you had to wear the gear that, you know, most rappers rock, whether it's, you know, the at that time it was the baggy clothes, the jerseys, the jewelry, and all that, blah blah blah. And then Kanye comes with the scene, pink polo with a backpack, you know what I'm saying, like straight prep look. And again, not the average, again, not what the average rap look was. Now it is, but he set that trend, right? To where now there's like a different avenue. There's a different avenue open for the rap industry as a whole, where it gave room to a lot of artists that you see now that aren't necessarily gangster rappers or hardcore rappers at that. They're just, you know, uh, and or even not even uh, conscious influential rappers that also are hood. No, no, like he literally just paved the way for a different look and a different style. That, again, all that to say, maybe this is that point now where J. Cole is setting a different path to be taken, because according to his own conviction, right, which is the following part of the title, right? I say, or the conviction, right? From confliction to conviction, right? So if you saw the video, obviously there was a conflict within himself with whether or not he was gonna throw back at Kendrick, which he clearly does on steroids, right? Like on 10. I mean, completely, you know, like I said last time, I mean, you know, if we're keeping tabs or score right now, Cole for sure had the lead with that whole song he just, you know, that dropped, and a whole album that he kind of put together that, I mean, isn't totally all towards Kendrick, but it's a general like statement towards all rappers for that matter, or anybody he may have a certain type of feeling towards. And again, why it was genius that he put the Might Delete Later title. Um, excuse me. But all that to say that maybe this is that. Maybe this is a new path to be had where we don't always have to engage in this animosity towards one another as artists. I mean, because the thing is, you know, and maybe hip hop isn't the only thing that is this, but most industries is a Shark Tank, you know. And like I just saw this interview with Roman Reigns and Rock on Jimmy Fallon. They're talking about, you know, Roman Reigns talks about a moment that Rock told him, like, it's, you know, everyone's out for themselves, you know, and then so it's in a sense that killer be killed mentality, so to speak. You know, you got to be the top dog, but you know, with no exceptions, you have to always be ready to fight, right? And that clearly, for sure, also exists in the hip hop industry and the rap world, right? Where somebody disses you, you better diss back, you better, you know, clap back, and that is a natural thing in the hip hop industry. But clearly, Cole chose a different route due to his convictions, which I've talked about this before. He clearly has these a set of convictions that brought him into conflict with what had happened and what he put out there, to the point where he obviously, you know, apologized for it, and it's kind of like wants to take it back in a sense. He's regretful for putting it out there. And he felt shitty about it, he says, right? Like, you know, because he really does respect Kendrick's art, you know, and he obviously certain bars that he put out there clearly, you know, cut at the feet of Kendrick, like, you know, dismissing what he has done as an artist, so to speak. Even though throughout the song, you know, 7 Minute Drill, he was constantly bigging him up, as well as bringing him down, you know, putting him down, I should say. But and there's something about that personally, for me, I find commendable, you know, because we definitely live in a time where people are more convicted by the thoughts of others and how they're going to be perceived, rather than obviously convicted by that which is righteous and holy and true, and in for this in alignment with how Cole viewed it, his his relationship with God, so to speak, right? He mentions that, forgive me if my internet's tweaking right now. It looks like it is. Looks like the connection is unstable at the moment, which hell of a time for that to happen. Um, but whole point is that I commend him for that, and I've been in that boat, where it takes a bigger man to know when he's done something wrong. You know, uh, there's this mentality where you have to like stand by your choices no matter what, which is true to a certain degree. Like, obviously, you can't turn back the hands of time. You can't go back and take back what you said, but you can obviously apologize for it and acknowledge and recognize that maybe what you said or the course or the thing that you had done is wrong. And that takes a bigger man. It takes a bigger person. It takes more heart. It takes more courage. It takes more uh, uh, power to do that. It empowers you. That empowers you more and others more than to go to your grave without ever acknowledging the wrong things you have said or wrong things you have said or have done. And even in this case scenario where you know one might say, well, Kendrick obviously approached, did his thing first. He did. And again, that's for Kendrick to come to realize that. Kendrick has to do that on his own, if he chooses to do so. But at least Cole opened up the door for that now. Like Cole didn't wait for that to be the case scenario. He allowed it to be. He made that step himself, where now it's available to Kendrick if he chooses to actually, I guess you could say, receive the olive branch, and I honestly hope Kendrick does do so, because again, the world and our society and the culture needs bigger, stronger, more righteous men to take these steps of action that truly display the more holy and righteous things to do sometimes. Again, there is a time there for sure. There's a time to obviously fight, and sometimes though there isn't. And in this case scenario, I'm just glad Cole realized that this is a fight not worth fighting for, that he doesn't want to entertain. And obviously in the form of lyricism, not I don't think they ever thought about duking it out. Although I will say Kendrick mentions it, I think, in the 7-minute drill, and he brings up the physical stats, right? Like, yeah, if it ever came down to that, he's got the reach on him, So, but again, he took a higher road here. He took a higher road, but a road that's definitely less traveled, if ever traveled at all, or at least this early in the thing, right? Because this isn't the first time, like that something like this has happened, so to speak. Obviously, we can probably go back to like, and maybe there's more than what I'm about to mention, but this is the first one that comes to my mind, and that's a Toy Soldier. Eminem clearly sharing how he really feels about the rap beef that he was in at the time and how much it drains you. So again, big ups though on Cole for acknowledging it early on before letting it go any further than what it had to. And these are the courses of actions that sometimes need to be taken. And I can relate to it. I've been in those shoes where, in an act of retribution or an act of revenge, I've taken courses of that, or even an act of just reaction. Sometimes just sometimes it's a habitual reaction, like, oh, I gotta respond, right? And then to come to realize, like, when I fully meditate on the matter, looking at the bigger picture, I realize, man, there's more at stake here, and I have to take back, what I've said or done, um, and and again, it's definitely commendable. Um, you know, it's not a, it's definitely not an easy. It's not always easy because you know that there's gonna come backfire from it possibly. But again, it's always better to stay true to your conviction than to fold to the manipulation of others, right? So again, I commend Cole for what he did. I support him for what he did. Not that it matters, right? I guess as a fan though, I do support him. And again, I can relate. I could only hope people see something like this, seeing that he's got a bigger platform, and learn from it and realize, like, yeah, there's, sometimes it takes, sometimes it's not worth waiting for the other person to take the first step. Sometimes you should just take the step yourself to bring resolution to something. Um, Obviously, it is a weird thing, though. And I said this early in the beginning of the live. It's a weird thing that we're always drawn to conflict. Like there's something about that you know riles us up, that makes us feel alive, and just motivates you. And sometimes I wonder, like, is that the right motivation, or what have you? But sometimes it seems to be a thing. We're addicted to the conflict. There's an addiction for conflict, and I wonder what that is. I wonder what spirit animates that. The spirit of conflict. Like, why is it we're drawn to that thing, that we want to see people beef, we want to see people fight, we want to choose sides, and as if uh which is the easiest thing to do, like, because I just feel it's easy, it's embedded in our nature to just simply just choose a side, and I'm fighting now, like. And I see it time and time again, like. And which is funny, because I mean, even in the most you know bizarre things, that I'm like, why is there even a conflict in this matter? Like, even in this situation where, like, Cole apologizing, and somehow that brings more confliction with people, and that's weird to me. But and even for those that know, I've obviously in support of the Snyder Cut and the movement and all that. And now whether it's restore the Snyderverse or sell, uh, you know, um, Snyderverse to Netflix. And there's this weird, thing that just seems that, oh, beef has to be a thing. There's always this conflict that has to arise, and it seems like it's what animates people to do things. When I wonder, why does it even have to go in that direction? Let's see. I think people wanted the beef because it hasn't been constant enough in the genre. You know what, TJ? You're right. No, you're right. Again, that's why I was happy for it in the beginning. I'm not gonna sit here and appreciate you coming through, bro. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I wasn't hyped for it. I definitely was. I definitely was. Like, I was here for it. And yes, like, it hasn't happened constant enough. But again, that's why my question is, should it be something that happens constantly enough? Should we be questioning our own impulses, right, or our own desires, on whether or not this is actually the best thing to happen, right? Like, because you know some rap beefs can get carried away, some relationships do get tarnished, time gets lost, between the people that were beefing with each other. And there's always a winner, there's always a loser, and sometimes there's two losers, and sometimes there's two winners. You know, but my whole point is like, let's just say, I guess the point I'm going to point out is if Cole would have kept going with it, and not taking the course he did, of course I would have been here for it. Like, like, yeah, obviously, like you said, yeah, like it's definitely something that hasn't happened enough in the genre of hip hop, where it's been missing out, especially for a long time, because obviously there was that time period where beef was like regular, whether it was, obviously stemming way back. You can think back to Tupac and Biggie. You can think back to Jay-Z and Nas. You can think back to 50 and Ja, G Unit and and Deluxe and uh 50 Cent and Fat Joe, 50 Cent in the Game, you know, Dipset versus State Proper, whatever, or even Mob Deep versus Jay, and Rock and the Rock, Rockefeller, whatever, and all the other people. Yeah, for sure, it's a thing that obviously has died out. I wonder if maybe that was. Can we maybe acknowledge maybe because it was for the betterment of what we want to display as a culture? Possibly could have been the why that happened. Um, you know, and is that maybe the route to take, right? Like, or maybe even like again, he clearly acknowledged that he was in a beef or something that was probably going to culminate into a beef, and he was apparently ready for it. Maybe, or I don't think he ever really was ready for it. Or I don't. Again, his title was maybe might delete later. So I think from the beginning he already had there was a conflict within himself whether that was something he wanted to do. I think for the sake of hip hop and showing that he is a rapper and this is why he did what he did. I mean, who knows? Like we won't really know until we have like a deep interview with the man. Again, there's more to the clip of what he put out there as far as like his apology. Let's see, because some people, me included, wanted this to see who can out rap who. Of course, friendly competition with the common saying competition creates great product. Yes, I think people feel we lost that. And okay, yeah, and again, I could see that. I could definitely see that being a thing. But like, okay, there's let's consider this, right? I agree. Sometimes like that is good for competition. Like competition is good for the industry as a whole, right? And I can agree with that. But sometimes it gets carried away, right? Perfect example, obviously, is something like uh, maybe we can. I'm trying to think of a really good example, but let's just if we break down 7 Minute Drill, for instance, like I mean, dude, like Cole really like went at this guy's body of work. You know what I mean? Like he and the sad part about it is that there's argument to be said that the reason why it hit hard is because it was true. It could be true. I think Cole feared it might have gotten carried away. Yeah, that's definitely what I feel is his fear. But I think it's a good fear. Like that's, I guess, what I'm saying. I don't think it's a fear in the sense of like chickening out. I think it's a fear in the sense of like, I truly respect you as an artist. I don't want this to get carried away, you know. Um, and I don't think, and I guess what I'm gonna say is Cole has every right to feel that. He has every right to take the course of action he took. And us as hip hop fans, we're gonna have just to wait for the next beef, of competition, if that's what we're really concerned about. I mean, here's the thing, and it's always there no matter. And I mentioned this in the last live. I think the difference between what happened in the 7 Minute Drill and possibly, if you want to consider like that, is that the shots were so direct that they were slightly disrespectful, and I think that's the issue, right? Because as you mentioned earlier, um, Drake, my bad. Um, Friendly competition is one thing, and I think we've been seeing that throughout this whole thing. I mean, if there's been constant jabs between rappers for a long time now, especially within this and the class of our generation of rappers that we came up with, rather than the rappers that already existed before us, so to speak. But there's been tit for tat, jab for jab, Drake throwing indirects, Cole throwing indirects, and Kendrick and other rappers alike, because it's part of the sport. And when I say indirects, I don't mean that in a sense like they were all, lack for a better term, bitching out from being just straightforward. But I mean it in the sense of like, I'm doing this for the sport, not for the sense of actually stirring up the pot of actually creating some sort of beef in the industry that might not necessarily have to be a thing for the industry to thrive. And I think for that matter, when you consider kind of like what Kendrick says in the I Like That, the shots he took at Cole, which I feel is why Cole was the one to respond before Drake. And honestly, the only one I really cared for, to be honest. But I think the conflict and the conviction that led to his course of action is that he realized, like, even on his then 7-minute drill, he also was pretty disrespectful, and in that it was a bit past friendly competition, I think. Let's see. I remember what happened to the D12 member and M, rapped about it so yeah, right, which is what I mentioned earlier. You know what I mean? And this is what I mean, where what Cole did isn't necessarily the first action to be taken of course correcting. It's just the first course of action to course correct before things got out of hand. Where in the case of scenario of like what you're mentioning with D12, that got carried away. Hence Eminem's response then with Toy Soldier to hopefully cool down the flames. Unless Drake unless Drake drops a hit. I honestly, if he does, bro, I like I said in the last live, I feel it's like, bro, like, what were you waiting for? And now it just seems like, and maybe it was gonna seem like that no matter what, because I guess even if like he would have dropped it right after might delete later in the 7-minute drill, which is what I was told, what I said he should do is like either drop it midnight, or the following day to like keep the shots coming, and then it's like, maybe he can cook up like, oh no, Cole just dropped it before I did, but I already had this one cooking also, because I was ready as well, and whatever. But I just feel like now it's like you waited too long to drop something, and it's gonna seem like you're just chasing the coattails of Cole. Well, but now that Cole course corrected, who knows? Or maybe Cole course correcting maybe now allows Drake to try and take the big dog persona of like, oh, then I'll get into this and I'll go at Kendrick, and it might work. It might work, might not. I don't know. But we have to yet to see, I guess, Kendrick's response now to see, like, does he accept Cole's apology? Will he feel the same energy? Will he subscribe to the same energy as Cole, or is he now on a warpath because he's probably too booty hurt for what Cole said on the 7-minute drill? I think Drake was waiting for Cole to handle it and move on. Not everyone is saying Drake has to save the integrity of the genre. Nah, I think, well, that's BS. In the end of the day, the integrity of the genres will always be intact. Again, and this is why I say, like, this might be the new integrity, is what I'm trying to say, I guess. Again, there was a point in time where rap had to be gangster. Hip hop had to be hardcore. Kanye comes in and changes all that, and and now we have a plethora of artists, Drake included, because of people like Kanye, that allowed hip hop to be more than just hardcore gangster rap, or hood like conscious rap, and even to the style not having to be that hood gangster like apparel. Now you can dress however you want, and still be taken serious as an artist who can rap, or a rapper who's an artist, whatever, either or, take your pick. But I feel like if that can happen then, this can happen now. And I think Cole might be awakening a new type of integrity that might exist in the game, where it's like true respect comes from this course of action, not the course of action of needlessly feeling you have to disrespect your opponent. Because in all honesty, And again, I'm not saying that has to be the course of action. What I'm saying is it could be a course of action, and this might be all in the betterment of hip hop in general, where this could be what people now look up to instead of looking up to the having to beef it out, respond, disrespect each other, drop, expose each other. If you have that kind of information, and then I'll be honest. e- e- Listen, even to be more honest, honestly, the beef aspect of rap, the last beef we had was the that I can recall that was I'm trying to think. I don't want to speak out of context because there might be other beefs prior after. No, there are beefs after, but let's just be honest. Like Drake saving the integrity of the genre, like that. I don't that's so silly considering that like you've had guys like Pusha T, Button, you know, uh, Common, lyrically mop the floor with this guy. And honestly, and contrary to popular opinion, I'm even of the type where I'll say that even Meek Mill's disses towards Drake were so undermined if people actually were trying to listen to what Meek was saying, really exposed Drake for what he really is, who he really is, um, and actually clowned him in a lot of ways on the gangster side of things to really expose that Drake wasn't that. And this is where I'm going to get at, where to say that Drake somehow is going to be the savior of the integrity of that essence of hip hop is silly, because there's moments where Drake punked out even in a lot of his beefs, and then he'll throw tracks, diss tracks when he feels like it. So again, I'm not so sure he's the one to save the integrity, if that's even a thing. And again, I think his course of action might actually be the true saving of the integrity of hip hop as an art form, and not just some like hood like construct that only exists, that quote unquote only exists within the cultures of maybe the hood, or and clearly has surpassed that and has become a more of uh, a global thing, that this might be the course that now is set to allow rappers to take that course of action now going forward. Let's see. I think Tupac was trying to change, but talking about issues regarding the society. But we know what happened. Oh, okay. You might be a little backed up. I see, because you're talking about things that I meant. Okay. All right. Let's see. So you're kind of in previous parts of my conversation earlier. All right. Let's see. Okay. So we're talking about issues regarding the society, but we know what happened. Ye just carried the baton, but might have gotten carried away, if yeah. Well, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this last. I can't remember what live I mentioned this in, but I mentioned before. Oh, matter of fact, in the interview I had on my boy's channel, the Miles podcast, um, I mentioned it on his, where I feel like Kanye was like the modern day Tupac, due to the controversy that always surrounds him, due to a lot of the things he's always trying to say, things that he's trying to change, and sometimes it just comes out crazy. But you kind of have to always we kind of have to read between the lines and find the true message that's behind the thousand bullets that come your way of what's coming out of his mouth. But you know, yeah, I can agree to that. I can agree with that to the degree where, like, yeah, Tupac, I feel obviously was trying to do something similar in a sense, just due to the personality. It definitely doesn't allow it to happen. Maybe. Okay, for me, the last beef that I considered actual beef was, yes, G Unit and Murder Inc. 100%, exactly. 50 and Ja Rule, and that's what I mean. Like, you know, that existed for a time, and obviously now we don't get that, but doesn't mean that we need that. And maybe the fact that it hasn't existed is maybe evidence of that. Where maybe we don't really need that beef anymore like that. Maybe again, friendly competition is one thing. Uh, you know, iron sharpens iron, and so that's, yeah, for sure, always good for the sport of hip hop and rap for that matter. But or for being an MC, but um, maybe, just maybe, in the sense of actual beef, where things can get carried away and out of hand, can get disrespectful. You know, maybe hip hop exists past that now, and why it's important that we look at what Cole did as more of and acknowledge it as more of a step that's a higher of a higher calling. It's because it's easy to, again, it's actually the road, again, like I said earlier, it's the road less traveled, it's the harder path to take, because it's going against the grain of what we know to be the status quo. Where, like, obviously, like you said, the status quo is like, we want, we're, yeah, as fans, we're anticipating this beef to culminate into bars being just thrown out there and being fed like, crazy lyrical bombs of truth. But the reality is with that does come repercussions of disrespectfulness, conflict that can lead to higher stakes, and possibly the reason to why it's probably better that we actually went the route Cole, we go the route Cole did. I mean, and again, acknowledge that he took the higher calling, and I commend him for that. Again, I commend him. I support him. I think he was, I think he, I think he took the right step, to be honest. And again, I've taken similar steps myself. As I mentioned earlier, like, kind of bringing it to the whole, like, Snyder Cut movement. I felt the need to kind of go in that same direction at a certain point, because it just, I don't see, there's no growth in division. There's no growth in conflict and in beef, and which is why on my part I felt the need. For those who know or ever heard the um, the intro to Sil Abdul, to Sil's channel, right? To Sil Abdul Inc. For those who haven't watched it, I suggest you tune into his channel. Great channel, to get a lot of source material and things of that nature, scoops, things of that nature. Great discussions always being had within the entertainment, about things that involving the entertainment industry, from movies, movies, and things of that nature. But all that to say, I created that intro to his channel, and but if you pay attention to the bars, there's one verse, or to the verses. One of the bars that I spit on his thing was, just to kind of like, I go, there's no need to regulate. Free speech is always the better way. The truth don't ever discriminate. Free thinking has built us all a better place where we can all conversate. I mean, converse. Don't make the shit worse. Just try to appreciate. Just try to appreciate. After this verse, so take us to church. Let knowledge disperse. Ideas then culminate and turn into action. Speak words with reason and passion. Honestly spoken, no need for retraction. Keep on demanding your full satisfaction. We made it happen. Though we collapsed and broke into fractions, all of these factions overreacting, broken and fractured. If I played a part, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson, because personally, for myself, I knew I took part of that, this weird beef that existed within that community of people that at one point all stood for the same thing. Whether it was, obviously the AFSP and raising up money for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and then obviously for our director and artist integrity and freedom to have creative control, and seeing the true vision of the director. Hence why we wanted the Snyder Cut and things of that nature. We all stood for that. We all wanted that, and then somehow, in between the whole thing, we got lost in the sauce, and and things happened. Right? And I definitely took part of that, because I, for sure, at one point chose a side. Um, and I felt like I had to acknowledge that in that song, because I was like, I need to for sure own up to my part that I played in choosing sides of factions, and the how all that collapsed and broke into fractions, right? As I say, and I definitely played a part in that to a certain degree. Not the biggest part, because honestly, I'm too busy to really get caught up in something like that. But I played somewhat of a part, and for that, I felt, if I did play a part, then I'm sorry, Miss Jackson, right? Like, obviously just play on words, but it was my form of an apology to anybody that felt like I I was a reason to things, collapsing and falling apart. And maybe that's, again, maybe that's just part of the human nature of of us being drawn into conflict and drawn into having to choose a side. Like, that's what the status quo has to be. And you know and it's in our nature. And maybe because it also helps in engagement. We feel the need to keep feeding that flame, whatever it may be. But whole point is I just know, for my part, I just was like, I don't want that to be what people know me for, remember me as. So I was like, I need to course correct this. And especially because something like that definitely does not warrant, for me personally, any kind of real indication of beef. Because I know what real beef looks like, what real conflict looks like. All right. So trust me when I say, like, I've taken part of that too. Not proud of all of it. Some of it was necessary. And so yeah, like, it just, for me, this whole internet beef and then social media wars thing, hence is why I came up with the social media wars track as well. But just something I was like, nah, that's just not what I want to remember, or be remembered for. Like Kai said, Rebel Moon, stand on the right side of history. Yeah, oh, for sure. Hey, sometimes I like, that's my conviction. And in the end of the day, I think sometimes, and this is what I guess where I want to go with this is, and this is where I'm commending Cole. Sometimes the right side of history is where nobody stood before, and that's what I want to point out here, because it's so easy to fall in line with what people are choosing for you, whether it's by design or just by nature. But sometimes the right side of history is standing on your own side, you know, and you have to be able to know when and where that is, you know, uh, and stand up for your own true convictions, your own righteous convictions, your own humble convictions, your own holy convictions, whatever it might be, your own love convictions, um, whatever it may be, and sometimes that side is, you're standing on your own. And that's obviously Cole, again, chose to make that kind of decision. I felt like I had to make that kind of decision for myself within the beef that was happening in the movement. And I still stand on that. um some people might think, you've chosen a side with the whole restore and sell. And for me, it's like, no, I chose the hashtag that made more sense as far as engagement and uh, probability to provoke or help companies see, a certain company see, like, the profitability that can come. That's why I chose a certain hashtag that I just felt made more sense. But it doesn't mean like I'm like anti-restore or what have you. At the end of the day, it's, for me, essentially the same message. But I'm just sticking to the hashtag I feel will make a more of a difference in the long run, come when it's these companies looking at the engagement that's happening online. But I mean, here's the fact is that it's still the same thing, like, and for me, you know, this is what it is really still like. But because we all want to see the culmination, the ending of what Zach had intended for his story arc of the Justice League, you know. And and if there's more to be had, obviously within that, whether it's Ben Affleck's Batman and things of that nature, whatever the case may be, whatever can come out of it, hopefully there's more. But my whole point is you know uh for me, I chose the side of, this isn't worth beefing over, this isn't worth uh putting that kind of energy into that. I'd rather uplift as much people as I can. I'd rather build rather than destroy. Um, and and yeah, sometimes you have to destroy in order to build. That's also true. Again, there's these are the complexities that we're given in life, that sometimes we have to think thoroughly through, and largely through to to pinpoint the things that do matter, right, and the way they do matter, right. Let's see. We want Zack Snyder to finish the story. Right. Hashtag Cody Rhodes. Oh, bro. Honestly, I can't wait for that to go down, man. Hashtag the bloodline. You know what I'm saying? Um, man, I've been cooking, y'all. You guys don't even know. I got some bars coming out, but anyways, yeah. That's good, man. That's good. Oh man. We definitely do want Zach to finish the story, man. And again, hopefully it can happen, and hopefully it's what the people he's already created a good uh um repertoire with and things of that nature, Hey, I am you already know what it is. You already know what it is. Um so but yeah, and here that's another perfect example, right? Even when so like conflict clearly is something we're drawn to, right? Even when we're thinking the way the wrestling entertainment industry sets up the whole premise is conflict, right? Um, and factions and these things clearly do sell, right? Which is why even when it came to BVS, Dawn of Justice, you're right. Zach obviously wanted a different title. I don't know if it was going to be called Dawn of Justice or maybe it was Man of Tomorrow. Who knows what it wasn't necessarily, but whole point is they wanted him to go in the direction they went with, and they wanted to call it Batman versus Superman because conflict sells. It is a thing, and um, we're drawn to it. Apparently, we're drawn to it. We're drawn to choosing sides. We've obviously chosen the side of the bloodline. you know, you know. But you know, it is what it is, man. I just feel we're at a point where I guess I just want to offer the premise of you know where competition is healthy, it can exist there, and obviously in an industry like you know the WWE, where it's fiction more than it is anything, and in storytelling and things of that nature, or whatever. Again, sometimes it sells and it's a good story because and I'll tell you why it's a good story, and I think why we resonate with it even in something like WWE or in AEW or even in the UFC. Uh, if, Even when you think about sports in general, right? The rivalries between certain franchises, right? Whether it's Celtics Lakers, uh, Cubs v Sox, or whatever the case may be, Red Sox versus Yankees, these rivalries that exist. It's something clearly that sells. It's something that clearly animates us to be more energized for whatever reason, and we feed off of it, right? Or we feed on it, but the people who create this obviously feed on it even more, right? So kudos to them for acknowledging this is, and again, maybe we resonate to it because because we see that it's a reflection of how we are in real life, because then you look at our actual like real life matters, and it seems like conflict is a thing still. For whatever reason, we draw easily into conflict, whether it's you know DC versus Marvel, Star Wars versus Star Trek, Dune versus Rebel Moon, um you know we're Cole versus Kendrick, uh even teams, even politically we've somehow made that a thing, whether it's uh you know Democrat versus Republican, left versus right, liberal versus conservative, all these narratives and stigmas that exist, um and that we easily subscribe to, and we fall into choosing a certain side, and it's harder to think independently and think outside of the box, you know uh, uh, and that's why I say that is the higher road, that's the higher calling, because it's easy just to fall in line with whatever side you feel you subscribe to. and that's an easy thing to do. Even when it comes to real the wars we're dealing with right now, whether it's Ukraine and Russia, Israel and Palestine, or Hamas, whatever the case may be. These conflicts exist in our nature, obviously, and we immediately subscribe to a certain to it easily, and I think that's what I'm concerned with overall, because I see it everywhere and everything. It's like people choose sides, and then it's like you've created enemies for life, and I think that's the part that I'm aware of, and that I feel we have to be aware of as 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 people. Maybe think a bit more broadly about what you're about to subscribe yourself to, and feel that you have to choose a certain side, because in doing so you might possibly choose uh because then at that point your enemy is chosen for you, you know and again, that's why I look at what Cole did, and I'm like, hats off to this man for choosing, again, the road less traveled, the higher ground. you know um let's see. In short, don't be Jay Uso. He stopped falling in line and became. Uh, right. Oh man, bro. I mean, I tell you this much, bro. Like, it's uh, it's definitely, again, big ups to people who can obviously choose a path less traveled. That's definitely the harder route to take. You know what I mean? And sorry, I got a text message here, and I just feel like, man, let's pause, take a step, breathe, unpack, you know, and 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 let there be room for something like what Cole did, and that's reconciliation, true resolution, like, or opportunity for resolution. Um, and and honestly, it could have been Kendrick that took this path. It could have been Cole. It could. I mean, I think it was probably better that it was Cole, seeing that he was the last one to drop something. So, but there has to be room for that. I think you have to allow there to be room for resolution. Allow there to be room for reconciliation for people that fall apart. Allow there to be room for conversation and discussion, to more understand, where someone's coming from, no matter what walk in life, no matter what creed or religion or ideology, or you know or even for whatever reason, if they'd be goofy enough to be loyal to a certain political party. To be honest, I think that's goofy. I think, I mean, look, obviously there's different viewpoints, and you might agree with one thing and disagree with another, but I would never, and that's definitely how I see things, but I would never say I'm hardcore this or I'm hardcore that, because one day I might not agree with whatever side I chose to side myself with, and that's where I'm at now, where I just think I'm definitely slow to, subscribe a certain loyalty to somebody or something, or a certain group or anything of that nature, because that might not fully represent what I am, who I am as my own individual as a whole, right? So that's where I'm at with that. So I again, I commend Cole, I support him, and this, I feel like this might be a new point in hip hop, where it'll allow other artists, other especially up and coming artists, to know that, look, taking that higher ground sometimes is possible, and you just have to be brave enough to take it. you know um even though again it goes against the grain of what the status quo has been or what the status quo may be in the moment, um, and and that's why yeah, we're here where we're at. That's, again, no, I'm not knocking competition in general, right? That's, sometimes again, competition has to exist. A friendly competition is, the best competition for sure. So that way we know for sure there's no ill intent or bad blood in the mix. But but competition in general is a good thing. That's why I'm not fully against it. That's why I don't mind that it's displayed in certain things, like as we were discussing, from the bloodline. I got beef with Cole. He's removing the song. I'm telling people, man, go if you want to hold on to that jewel, man, because it's a jewel. Whether he, disliked it or not himself as the artist who put it out there, it is a jewel, man. It was hot, that song, boy. So like, get your YouTube to MP3 converters today. Make sure you convert that, download it yourself, so at least you have it in your archive. Because obviously he's removing the song. It is what it is. It's his prerogative. Provocative? No, prerogative. It's his prerogative. He's got it's his work. He has the right to do it with it as he pleases. Yeah, I don't think, I personally, if I was him, I wouldn't remove it. It's out there for people to know. And it's already out there, dude. Like, so it's kind of silly to remove it. Honestly, I feel that's the same thing with, like, whatever you put out there. I mean, unless it's like super embarrassing. I don't feel that that's what this was. I don't feel this was what it was. I feel like it's a learning curve for him as much as it is for anybody who feels like him and anybody who's witnessing this from the outside. But I wouldn't remove. I personally wouldn't remove it. I got a lot of posts that I've put out there, songs I've put out there that aren't necessarily representation of who I am today, but it'll allow people to see where I come from, or where my journey had gone at a certain point in my life to where I'm at now. And I think that's good. A good thing for people to see sometimes. So if I was Cole, I honestly would just leave it out there. Like, hey, it exists, it's out there. You've already apologized for it. And, what more can you really ask for? And I don't think taking it down is the response. Like, honestly, in my opinion, it is what it is. But again, here we are, and if you do want to have it, like I said, YouTube to MP3 converter, quick, before he removes it. I think it's tomorrow. He's thinking it's tomorrow he's removing it. But, so go ahead and, download that track, man. But yeah, man, let's see. Like The Rock said last night, one chapter has closed, another one has just begun. Yes, exactly. And that's how I feel about what Cole's doing, what Cole did. And hopefully this can resonate through all factors in life. That's what that's at least that's what I'm trying to do here with this live, using that as I'm using the Cole thing as the foundation for what I'm kind of broadly brushing. But I feel like, yeah, that's right, man. One chapter closes, another one begins, and here we are. We keep going. We just keep going on this journey. It's again, it's competition is there, man, and that's why, yeah, we have this again. Competition it's fair and it's fun sometimes, and even the make believe ones, right? Where we're here, we're witnessing the bloodline, Rock and Roman Reigns versus Rollins and Cody and here we are, and then that's cool. And then, or even like, obviously we're gonna get Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. Again, we like fights, we like seeing fights, and there's nothing wrong with it in the right atmosphere, I think, in its rightful place, right? So like, here we are about to see, and there's no beef here, but we'd like seeing competition. We do like, and we like conflict. It is a thing, Here we are about to see two men fight, and I'll be honest, my money's on Tyson, if I'm gonna be honest. I think it'd be wrong to sleep on the guy. I mean, he's old, but man, if you're not looking at his training, this man's training rigorously. Again, it's something that sells, though. We're all in it, and that's I mean, Jake Paul made his biggest thing is the the conflicts he's created, or even the Paul brothers in general. It's the conflicts they create that sell. And again, salute to people that know that and try and make it work. And hopefully, you can only hope that it just stays in a healthy place. And if it doesn't, hopefully there's a point in time where there's growth for and a moment for reconciliation. Um, you can only win via knockout. So, yeah, right. I mean, hey, dude, don't think that Tyson does not have that knockout power. I think he does, bro. I don't. I personally don't see Logan. I don't see Jake knocking out Tyson. And I agree. I know what you're trying to say. Like, unless Mike Tyson puts him down, they'll probably give the fight to Paul. And you're probably right. But I wouldn't put it past Mike Tyson. And if not a knockout, even like a knockdown. And at that point, it's like if they still give the fight to Jake Paul, then it's like, all right, this is rigged. But bro, Mike Tyson got power, bro. He still got power. We got to remember, that guy was heavyweight champion of the world, man. Like, he is a heavyweight. That's his class, right? So this is what he does, man. And he still got the speed, bro. If you're watching his training, bro, he still got the speed, like ridiculously for his age. It's insane. But my money's on Tyson, if I'm be honest. And it is what it is. So you heard it from me. It's Mike Tyson all day. Uh, let's see. Oh, I'm saying Tyson is going to win because that's the one thing as stipulation. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, I'm telling you, it's coming, bro. Ooh, boy, it's coming. It's coming, bro. Best believe that knockout is coming, man. Like, I definitely, that's like the one fight I'm like really, out of all the Paul fights or Paul, yeah, that's the one for me. I mean, obviously the Mayweather one, I would have preferred to see more out of Mayweather, but that obviously went down the way we all thought it was. Nobody actually thought, nobody sort of thought Paul was going to be Mayweather, or Paul, yeah. But yeah, man, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson all day, man. But again, there you go. Like, it's that conflict. Conflict sells, man. Conflict sells. Competition is great. Friendly competition at that. And it and that's the thing. Competition and conflict. I would say this: fabricated conflict, maybe, and friendly competition or honorable competition is a good thing to have for sure. I'll say that. Because it definitely produces and builds great things. Good things come out of it. For all we know, because he's facing Mike Tyson, this might actually bring something out of Jake Paul we haven't seen yet. Might bring something out of him we haven't seen yet, and it just might work for him. Who knows, man? Who knows, man? But like I said, bro, the conflict is there, obviously. But yeah, Mike Tyson for sure versus Jake Paul. I got my money on Mike Tyson. You know, just watch his training videos, bro. Mike Tyson is beast still, bro. That's the part that just got me convinced. It's like he still got it, man. He still got it. But again, conflict sells. Conflict definitely sells. I mean, again, it's even how our politics work, man. Like, again, Democrat versus Republican, left versus right, and then even within the even within the own parties, they got fractions and conflict going on. I mean, technically, for anybody who's paying attention to politics, that's even though now he's, I think, running as an independent. I think he's running as an independent, but Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Technically he was Democrat, but he's like, hey, I'm going up against Biden. And, he doesn't. I mean, honestly, I think any Democrat who goes up against Biden is just obviously realizing that this man's lost it. But I mean, again, it's part of the game, competition. You get the best. You hope to get the best out of it, and and then again, I mean, obviously, anybody who's paying attention on the Republican side, same thing. Like, right, it was, there was I mean, I don't that actually there wasn't competition there. I think everybody should have expected Trump to be the front runner, to be honest. you know, but um, but then, or yeah, even like what is it, like the whole Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro facing each other off. Like again, conflict sells, man. Like it's a thing. It's a thing. And honestly, a part of me feels like that's even that's probably a part of me feels that that's actually fabricated in itself. I'll be honest. But who knows? Maybe it's a real beef between the two. But again, it's a thing, And I get, like I said, even in our little circles of entertainment, from DC versus Marvel, all that. Let's see. I missed the era of Lennox Lewis, Tyson, and Vander Holyfield era of boxing. For me, has lost. Oh, for sure. Oh, man, I 100% agree with you on that. That's the era that I definitely miss as well. I mean, we haven't gotten heavyweight boxing like that in a long time. Not to disregard, like your Tyson Furies and who's the other guy? I can't remember his name. Davis. It's eluding me, but yeah, I definitely missed this. That was the era of heavyweight boxing champions for sure. The problem is that the Dems didn't allow for a fair fight. 100% fight or fair fight. 100%, 100%. No, I mean, I'll be honest, man. The Democrats have been moving really funny lately, and it is what it is. But if they really were honest with themselves, and if they were really like up to par with where I think the general population is, I feel like they would have gone. The smarter move would have been to go with RFK. But the Democrat Party is compromised. That's just the problem there. There's a lot of agendas within that party that are leading them astray. Where like even people who were Democrats are now running independent, or you have even conversions from people who are technically still Democrat but now are being classified as right wing or Republican or center right because they don't fully subscribe to the bullcrap coming out of the Democrat Party right now. That's just that. Let's see. The Candace Owens thing is real because she's not pro-Israel enough. See, I'm not even sure that's the thing, because she's not the only one who's not like on this whole pro-Israel thing coming out of the Daily Wire. So that's why I'm not even sure that's really what it was. If I'm correct, even I think Matt Walsh, he has a similar view to Candace, where it's like very isolationist in a sense, where they're more of the mindset that, as Americans, we need to be concerned with America and the presidency, and our politics should be more concerned with what's happening home before we're concerned about what's happening abroad. And he stated that plainly as well. So again, I'm not sure. But then again, I haven't really kept up with all of Candace Owens' things either. Like, and honestly, it's been hard for me to keep up with a lot of what's happening in general. So it's like whatever I catch when I catch it. But yeah, obviously, I have seen some of her stances on the Israel thing for sure. But I haven't seen enough of it to know exactly where her entire stance is. But if it's like this whole, like, again, the common isolationist thing where, in the same stance that she had with the whole Russia-Ukraine, where she felt we shouldn't be, obviously our taxpayer dollars shouldn't be going to fund other people's wars. And I know it was similar she felt the same with the whole Israel-Hamas thing. And again, she ain't the only one. I know Matt Walsh was similar in that regard, where, very much believes that our taxpayers' dollars shouldn't be going to fund these other wars that aren't our wars. So if that's the case, then again, she wasn't the only one who said things like that. So I don't know. I don't know. Again, I haven't really kept up with all of it to know if she has more to say about it or maybe if anybody else has anything more to say about it, maybe Matt Walsh has something else that maybe makes him more pro Israel than, and I don't know. So I wouldn't know. I haven't kept up with it as often as I used to. Like as far as politics is concerned, um, I don't want to say I'm not keeping up with it. I pay attention to it, obviously, but just not as much as I used to. Where like I would probably be able to even say like, "Oh yeah, for sure, this was said," blah blah blah, and I have a little more to say on what maybe would make that the thing. It's called bribery. I'm trying to remember. You have to let me know what you're referring to here. I don't know which one. What bribery? Where it's at right now. But yeah, man. I mean, but all that to say again, that it's my whole point is the conflict thing. That's the reason I even brought up the Candace and Ben Shapiro thing, right? It's like, and people are here for it. Is my whole point, right? Somehow people are here for it, which honestly, on my standpoint, I feel like it's retarded. Um, it's the battle of ideas, right? Are you isolationist? Are you neocolonialism? Right, exactly, right. And again, there's nothing wrong with again the idea of exchanging ideas in that regard, competition in the sense of debating these matters, whether what should be and what should not be. And again, so something like that isn't necessarily a bad thing, and that's why I feel again that's the part of me that feels like not that it's necessarily scripted, but it makes for good clicks is my whole point, right? And people obviously would engage to that, you know. And maybe the bribery comment was about the part. Yes, being compromised. Yes. Okay, yes, okay, yeah, yes, for sure. That's why the parties are always compromised for sure, and that's both parties for that matter. Like you see it on the right, you see it on the left, and let me say this: like when I say these things, I don't say that to completely dismiss the entirety of. And again, this is where I say this is where I choose to stand apart. I choose to stand on the side of observation of everything that's being stated, because in that sense, like if I were to just obviously with that knowledge uh just don't say that you're a communist in public. Yeah, definitely not communist, I'll tell you that much. That for sure I can't subscribe to. But 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 for that matter, I like, yeah, my whole point is I definitely won't. You'll never hear me say I'm like oh, I'm loyal to the Republican Party or I'm loyal to the Democrat Party. Uh and even if there was like a such thing as an independent party, I wouldn't even say that. Again, I'm an independent thinker. A lot of my viewpoints probably fall in line more with Republican policies, but it's not to fully dismiss Democrat policies that I find agreeable. Um, and that's why I say like I would never fully say I'm something, because in the end of the day, if for whatever reason, there's more to gain from a Democrat uh, president, then I would vote that way. But if there's obviously something more for me to gain from the Republican president, then I'll obviously vote that way. And that's how I vote. And yeah, if I'm going to be honest at this point in time, Biden definitely doesn't have my vote. That's for sure. And if it's Trump on the Republican side, then it's probably going to be that, to be honest. But all that to say that, in the end of the day, yeah, it's silly for me to just say like you have to choose a side, or I think it's silly to say like because obviously the parties are compromised due to the back dealings of bribery from corporations and things of that nature, or the money that certain politicians want to make. I won't say that that's the bad thing about because of that it's all corrupt and it's all bad. Like that's just too naive. That's too small. That's too short thinking for me. Because there's bad apples, all of a sudden apples are a bad fruit to eat. Like that's just silly to me. Again, for me, it's like, no, there's bad apples and there's good apples, and I'll do my best to always intake the good apple. And sometimes, in voting, Unfortunately, the same way if you, when you're at the grocery store, you're looking at the apple bag, and sometimes there's a whole lot of good apples, but for sure there's some bad apples, and sometimes it's just the way you have to choose. Let's see. Okay. I'm a socialist bordering on communism, but some of the media have misguided the public. I mean, in the end of the day, I think, on the definition of communism, I think there's more to that. I agree with you. I know what you're saying as far as the, I guess you could say, the overall um, stigma that is placed on communist or communism for that matter. But I think also when it comes to the idea of socialism and communism, even if you don't want to listen to, let's just say, what the definition, what people might, what the media might say of the definition, my thing is more evidence based. When I see what has communism in countries that have implied it or applied it, what has communism and socialism truly brought forth that I feel is good fruit or good productivity to say that that's a good idea as a whole. Maybe I think there's certain ideas of it that I can see are good, and here's the thing, even within the Democrat Party or even Republican Party, you see certain ideas that have, socialist or communist adaptivity, because for the most part, a lot of these ideas culminate within each other, and they kind of exist. Some ideas bleed into other titles or other groups, right? So obviously, especially now, actually, probably heavily in the Democrat Party, there's definitely a lot of socialism or social ideas that exist, and even to certain maybe even communist ideas that exist. Um, Not so much on the Republican side, not that I can think of at the moment. Other than mm, maybe when you think of maybe ideas where I know, I think Nikki Haley was talking about making it mandatory to have people's identities on for to be put into social media platforms and things of that nature, that might have a stem that comes from something communist or socialist ideas. But yeah, I don't know. But the whole point is um yeah, I definitely don't. I definitely have yet to see good fruit produced from a full-on socialist government or communist government, for that matter, throughout history to the present time. That wouldn't have me convinced that that's a good route to go, and I'm not, and I'm especially because I'm more of a definitely of an individual mindset more than I am of a class mindset. Again, I don't like this idea of, I mean, groups exist obviously, and it's, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. So it's not that groups can exist within within our society, obviously, from different religions and different ideologies and things of that nature. That's fine. I'm just not so sure I can subscribe to the class identification structure. That I can't. I don't think I can't subscribe to that, just because I just feel people are, as much as we're the same, there's still things that make us individually different, and I'm more of that mindset of that being kind of the guiding instrument of I guess of my politics and my um maybe ideological structure, on top of my belief in my faith in God, and how I'm informed by the Word of God and things of that nature. In which, when I read the Word of God, I don't necessarily, uh, as a person who follows Christ, and you look at him, he definitely disregards the idea of a class structure. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so there's again things that that's actually good for another conversation, another time. I definitely would, and obviously these are conversations I do want to get into. But let's see. Switzerland and Norway are great examples of socialism. Um, I would say this, as even when you're looking at um, their policies, or their social, their social policies, I feel like there's still let's see, hold on. There's still things that they're still experimenting with to see if it's still yet to be seen if it's actually great as a whole concept. And maybe the reality is this, though. Maybe it works for them because of just the way their countries are structured, and then even their peoples, right? Like they're not as a diverse country as America is. So maybe the idea of class and class identification doesn't really cause so much uh, friction and conflict and division between its peoples because of that. Um, and but not only that, then even economically, I'm not even. I have to really have to get back into that, looking into even their economic structure. How well is it really, um, compared to like other countries and stuff, and then especially obviously the United States. Let's see. Will it ever work in America? No. Will it ever work in America? No. But can a version of it work? Maybe. Again, that's why I say the reality is it's being tried, more so in the Democrat Party than it is obviously the Republican Party, where there's obviously a lot more socialist ideas and concepts. I mean, essentially that's like kind of like what Bernie was trying to do, right? Um, I feel like there was another Democrat person who was running the last time that was also kind of falling in that line of socialist ideas. But for sure, Bernie for sure is one of those type of guys that has those ideas, which again, I can see the appeal to it. Don't get me wrong. Like there's some appeal to it that I'm like, oh, that kind of makes sense. But then there's just certain things about it that I'm not so sure I vibe with it the whole way through. When you finally get to the extreme end of the things of how far it can go, then I think, and here's my thing, this is where I feel like that's where it starts to fall apart, and that's why I say we still have yet to see the, I guess, end result for Norway and Switzerland. But I'd have to look more into their countries to see exactly how has it benefited them, and has there been any repercussions from it, socialism can work, but the idea of it's ever evolving because of circumstances can cause it to evolve. But yeah, right. Again, that's unfortunately the reality when it comes to um, politics in general, right, or anything in general. Things keep evolving, ideas keep culminating and creating new things, and I think that's where socialism kind of loses in a sense. Again, because it's not the first time in the States it's been tried. I mean, even when you look at ideas that kind of stem from that ideology, and you kind of see the backfiring of it now in the States. But hold on, I do feel, hold on, I do feel like I'm kind of steering away though from what I was talking about initially. But I definitely like this conversation. I definitely want to have this conversation. And here's the thing, like, I think I feel the reason people in this era or in this time, why there's an appeal in socialism and communism, at least in their ideologies, is because the no, let me fix that. The constitutional republic that the United States of America is supposed to be has also evolved and steered away uh, from its true doctrine, right? Um, and because when you read the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Federalist Papers and things of that nature, we a lot of what was meant to be no longer is, or there's like this weird perverted version of it. And maybe that's just life, because that's true to a lot of things. Idealism, which is what America aspires, works to a certain point. Yeah, so idealism for sure is one, I would say, a principle for sure that America aspires for. But I feel, and then there's to a certain point that exists, or that it works, and then obviously after that it can also fall apart. I think that's true for a lot of things, but I think that's because idealism is just one of the principles that make America, or what made America what it was, and what's led America to become what it is, and what allows it to aspire to work to the greatest ideas possible. But I feel there's things missing that allow that also to go lose its way. And that's why I say, like, when you go back to like the original idea of what the founding fathers had planned for America, we've definitely fallen away from it. And it could, and here's the thing, it possibly could be so because of maybe the lack of details in certain things as well, which is that is a certain conversation I do intend to have in the future. I'm actually gonna probably even have my father on for that conversation, because he has this kind of an interesting point that he brought to me the other day, that I thought would be good for a conversation to have, that I'd like to share with people. So that, again, definitely a great conversation, man. I definitely like these conversations. Now that we're talking politics, I definitely like talking politics. So, and ideologies and things of that nature. So, and actually, TJ, let me again, bro. Like, let me know if you ever want to go on a live with that, man. Like, we can. I definitely wouldn't mind have you on, and we can discuss it at length. But like, have that actually be the at least the conversation piece. Let's see. The true question is, what was the goal of the founding fathers? Because it has worked for some and not for others. Again, I think the question there is something that I feel, if it was never perverted in the first place, we would see the true, and again, you would see the true nature of what it was supposed to be. Again, I don't think as time progressed, we didn't see it fully for what it was. Maybe we never did. But for sure, a good portion of it has been seen. But I don't think we ever got to see the fullest extent. But again, I do feel that might be due to the lack of a certain detail that should have mattered most in the beginning, that wasn't placed. And again, this is something that my father brought to my attention, which I thought was interesting, that I definitely feel is worth the conversation to have, especially in regards to where the ideology comes from, right? Yeah, I think in the end of the day, let's just say, in reference to it's worked for some and not for others. Again, this is where I say, unfortunately, like in everything, you're always going to have bad apples, or you're always going to have bad actors. you're always going to have those that fall short of the glory, the glory of God, for that matter, I guess, and obviously some more than others, and which will always, in a sense, get in the way of what could be and what should be, and maybe that's meant to be. Maybe that's just the way it's meant to be, because the only true hope there is, and not to sound completely cynical or maybe what's the word? Not optimistic, but is it pacifist? Or I don't know. I feel like there's a word there that's for what I'm trying to say, but maybe the true thing is that nothing will ever truly be solved, and nothing will ever truly work, because in the end of the day, none of these governments are ever going to actually work for us, because the only governing body that matters is that of God. And and it isn't until Christ returns that we're going to see the true glory of what a true kingdom under righteousness and holiness and love actually looks like under him. And we'll never actually see that here on earth until that happens. That could also be the best factor to why nothing will ever work. But anyways, that being said, I feel like we definitely steered off a lot, but definitely great conversation, man. And hashtag 1,000 years. 1,000 years. You have to let me know what you're talking about there, bro. But I am gonna wrap this up. Definitely feel like I've been at almost about to reach the 2-hour mark. But great conversation, man. I definitely appreciate you coming on here, TJ. I appreciate Koji, who came on earlier. I appreciate everyone who's viewing this. Thank you guys for hopping on. Let me know in the comment sections what you guys think about the conversation we had, from Cole's course of action that he just took, from what is it about conflict that gets us going? What is it about conflict that draws us? What is it about the conflicts that we see that that are happening? What is it about that seems to be the course of action? And whatever everything that we discussed, let me know what your guys thoughts are. 1,000 years in reference to Jesus' reign in the book. Oh, okay. I thought it was that, but I wasn't sure but yeah, okay. Hey, bro, for sure though, hit me up in the DMs. Let me know, especially on Twitter, because I think that's where we possibly follow each other on other platforms. But reach out to me on Twitter, bro, if you ever want to go live and get into these conversations, bro. Like, honestly, this is called the Chop Shop, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to have people on to talk to and discuss things, and truly unpack things. That's the whole thing about the Chop Shop. It's not just me coming on here and just sharing my ideas. I mean, obviously that's what I'm doing today, but if obviously I try my best to keep up with the comment section, because I do eventually like to see what other people are thinking and what they have to say. So but even if that's that, you ever want to get here on the actual live with me to share a conversation, and then yeah, let me know. Hit me up in the DMs. If you follow me on Twitter, hit me up there. If you follow me on Facebook, hit me up there, or even in the comment section on YouTube, hit me up there. Whatever it is. Instagram, same thing on IG. Hit me up in the messengers, in the message section. Let me know. Comment section if it's YouTube. Let me know that you would like to hop on live with me, and yeah, we'll set something up. I do have some interesting conversations coming up, so stay tuned. Again, like I said, I do plan on getting a little deeper into the politics talk, and even faith-based. That's gonna be coming pretty soon. I am gonna have a few more interviews coming up soon with other artists that I definitely want to share their music and lift them up as much as I possibly can. I plan on having a conversation with a chef who's an entrepreneur with a new business he started, which low-key genius idea. I'm surprised it hasn't been done before, and maybe it has, and maybe it's just the first time it's coming to my attention. But Hope Winners, I plan on having him on to conversate with him and share his work. And that's what I do want to do too, guys. So like again, if there's something you want to promote, there's something you got going on, any projects, let me know. Hit me up. I want to be able to uplift and share and build people up along with me as I hopefully build up my brand, and my art, my music, obviously. Which on that note, if you ever have the time, and you're looking for music to listen to, whatever platform you're on, if it's Apple, Spotify, Tidal, Pandora, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, whatever it is, look for Il Divino Music Playlist, and I have all my songs from that I've ever recorded that's out there in those platforms are in that playlist. So look up that playlist, save it, share it if you like it. Share it if you like it. Don't just keep it to yourself, man. Like it helps me if you share my music and my product as well as the videos, too. Deezer. Hold on, give me a second, brother. Oh, are you referring to Deezer D? What's the word, man? Oh, Deezer music. Yes, actually should be on there too. I don't have a playlist on there though. I don't have a playlist on there, but so if you do look on there, look for again Il Divino Vega, or even Vega, Vega and AQ Run It Back. I should probably be writing this down. Matter of fact, just so y'all can. So this is what you'll find my music under. If you're ever looking for me, it'll be this. Il Divino again, on certain platforms I have playlists set up, Il Divino Vega music playlist. And then if not, you find me just looking up that. Hold on, I'm putting them down so you guys can follow. Some of them are under this one as well. Hold on. And then one of them actually came out like this retardedly. Okay. So yeah, on on Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, the ones that I'm mentioning for sure, I know I made a playlist. iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. You'll find a playlist with all my music under Il Divino Vega music playlist. If not, if it's on a platform I haven't set up a playlist, then just look up Il Divino Vega. That's my new artist name. So that'll play all my recent songs. You might be able to find the other songs that I've done. But if not, it should be either under Vega alone, and you'll find me there. If not, you can find it under Vega and AQ on the back. That's my producer and on my first project. So a few songs came out like that. And then there's one song out there that for whatever reason they decided to put my actual name. And but it's called Ballers. No, it's called Baller actually. It's called Baller. So you look up for that, and another song that I have out there that just isn't under any of my names. And unfortunately, I guess maybe because I'm not famous enough, they don't take me serious enough to just put it all under one artist name. I could only imagine if I was already famous, and the moment I sent the complaint, they'd probably be quick to oh yeah, right away, sir. We'll put it all under Il Divino Vega or something. But leave them in the comment section. Yes. Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. Matter of fact, that's a good point. That's what I'll do. Good point. Let me do that. Big L by the company, 100%, man. And trust me when I say I've definitely argued with them about it. Brought it to their attention, and they're like, "Oh, it's gonna be hard." Like a bunch of excuses, and I'm like, I wonder if these are the excuses you give your like you would tell Kanye West that or something, or Drake. Oh, sorry, but then they'll probably say something like, "Well, it would never happen with them, and that's why they're professional rappers, and you're not." But you know, so yeah, these are technically, again, boom, El Divino Vega, and then Vega, you can run it back. And then, like I said, on certain platforms, you can just look at the playlist, which has all my music. And that way you could just look for that, and you'll have all my songs on those platforms. And that's probably the best way to do it, to get all my music. And if not, honestly, YouTube, which again, you just look up Il Divino Vega, and that one, my YouTube channel actually has all my music. You just have to look go on my page, go to my playlist, and you're gonna see a bunch of different playlists that has literally all my songs from every artist name I possibly had. So you look that up, and again, all my music for sure is on there for sure. So definitely where you wanna if you want to listen to everything on one platform, YouTube is where it's at. But obviously, if you don't listen to music like that and you listen to it on platforms, all the other ways I mentioned, that's the way to do it. Okay. So again, I appreciate you guys hopping on. I appreciate you tuning in, supporting me. Again, support my music however you can. If you want to purchase the tracks off of iTunes and things like that, if you want to just keep streaming them, because the more plays I get, the more clicks I get, the more play I get, the more notoriety I get, the more the company starts to work with your boy and starts promoting me more on their own without me having to do all this hard work on my own. But yeah, thank you guys for hopping on again, supporting your boy. And again, if there's anybody out there, whether you're an artist of any way, shape, or form, if it's music, you do videography, photography, painting, sculpture, if you're a chef, if you're a cook, you're an entrepreneur, there's some sort of business you're trying to get off your feet and you want to promote, if it's a channel, you got your own channel, you're trying to do your own podcast, let me know. I don't mind having conversations. I actually like having conversations like that with people, because personally for me, I like hearing people's stories, what led them to their ideas. I like to see their story, their growth, their journey. And I feel people are interested. I think there's a space for that, where people are interested in those types of things. There's relatability, like where you can see, like, okay, well, if this person's willing to put in the work, and they have a similar story to mine, I can do the same thing too. And so again, hit me up, man. Get with your boy, and let's work together. Let's build each other up, and yeah, like I said, it's all love. So again, appreciate you guys. That's about that time though. Got to wrap this up. Much love. God bless you guys. Until next time, peace out. One love. It's the bloodline. La Casa Vega, Chop Shop. You already know what it is.